Welcome to Launch Code, a premier business podcast, starring Evan Hafer, Matt Best, and Jared Taylor.
Today we conclude our conversation with Micah Fink.
But when I started the program initially, it was like guys would come out, they would come out for like 2 weeks, and they would go home, and then they would come back for 2 weeks, and then they would go home, and then they would go back. And that was like a total failed idea because they would do really good, but 2 weeks just wasn't long enough.
And then they'd break down.
And then they'd go back and they'd get all shit-faced and, beat their wife or whatever. And then they'd come back out and they'd heal again. And then, it was like this cycle. So I made a lot of mistakes in the development of it. And the truth is, like, people ask me, like, how are you able to talk so passionately about it? And I was like, I lived it. Like, I live it. I go through it. I'm
you
there.
Give yourself
like,
to
I'm not like sitting in like a lounge chair, like while everything's going. Like, I'm in there. I'm shoeing the horses. I'm in the background. I'm feeling the cold. Like, I know I'm out there in the blizzards. I'm peeling the saddle off a dead horse on this 10,000 feet, like in the dark. Like, I mean, I've made a lot of really profound mistakes. But one thing that I was never going to do was not learn from those mistakes. Like, those mistakes had value. And so what the program is to, now we're going to be starting a study this year. So how we quantifiable and quantitative is very important to me. How do we know we're being successful? So I created this process called uninterrupted data. So when the guys arrive, they get asked 16 questions. And then at the end of the program, they get asked 16 questions. And then they, after their phase 3, they get asked the same 16 questions. And then 6 months later, they get asked the same 16 questions. We record them and we don't talk to them. We let's ask them the question, and they got to say whatever.
No feedback.
No feedback, because we don't want to so it's all in their own words.
Yeah.
Everything is in their own words. And then this year, we're working on getting a small grant, and we're gonna get some guys that volunteer. We're gonna take some blood panels on them, and we're gonna look at them and see what their hormone levels are looking like, and kind of get a little look on the inside.
Yeah,
a lot of these guys' problem is
biometrics
they're living on the couch, they're 100% disabled, they're popping pills, they're eating Cheetos, they're overweight, they're chugging down Monster energy drinks, and they wonder why their life sucks. And I was like, was the Army in 2004? It's shit.
Bro, that's 12 years
so
ago.
So you're trying to kill yourself on a daily basis, and you're wondering why.
Right.
Like, you're filling yourself full of poison, and you're wondering why. And we see this a lot, man. I mean, and within the veteran community and all around the veteran community, it's like, dude, just change your diet. Yeah. Like, stop eating sugar. Like, unplug your electronics an hour before you go to bed. Get 7 hours of sleep. Get up in the morning, and if you can't run, you can't work out, get up in the morning and just go for a walk. Go for a walk when the sun's coming up.
Shit, man. Like,
Just
circadian rhythm.
Like,
go for a walk.
That's
the start.
That's part of the
Just
thing
walk.
that I constantly talk about.
Right.
I'm like, look, I think I put something out the other day. I'm like, I constantly tell people you can carve time out. I was at the fucking airport.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
I was delayed for 2 hours. I'm like, you know what? I didn't get to do shit today. I went and did as many push-ups as I could do in that fucking hour.
I had a guy
that I had time for, and that's my rhythm. But it might be important to one fucking person to see it, and it matters.
I've never had a night of sleep I've never had a night of sleep that I didn't do anything that day that was as good as sleep I had from the day I did something. Yeah. Ever.
I mean, this stuff is all so simple, but the reality is you have to do.
Right.
There's a guy that supports our program. He's a doctor. He's actually George Bush's doctor. He asked him, he's like, during, obviously, with the war and everything that was going on, he was under tremendous stress. And he treated him at this clinic in Texas all the time. And he became really close friends with him. And he gave me a word of advice when I was kind of starting out, because I was operator mode with everything. 10 o'clock at work and super hard, just hammering, never could spreadsheet, just stupid, not balanced at all. And it was completely unbalanced in everything that I was doing in my approach. I was just hammered down. And he said, I asked him, how are you dealing with all this stress? I mean, they're making cartoons about you. The whole world's making fun of you.
Right.
Soldiers are dying. You got TV channels dedicated to just hating you. You know, Bush hate TV. And he said, I wake up every day and I do two things that I know I can control. I run and I read every day. And I thought to myself, he's under more stress than I'm under. You know, like
Then maybe anybody's under.
I mean, everybody under. I mean, think about that. And there's two things you can control. You know, you can control what you put in your mouth.
Yeah.
You can control what you listen to. You can control what you put in front of your eyes. Like I don't watch negative stuff. I don't watch horror movies and people hacking each part. You know, I don't do that. I don't play video games.
Right.
And I control what I put in front of my face, you know, what I read and how I take care of myself. And when I start to get out of balance, my life becomes out of balance. Because those are really the only things that I actually can really control in my life, you know. And those simple steps. I had a guy, you know, I told him, he's like, you know, we called up, he's like, I want to go to Heroes and Horses. I said, you can't, it's over for the season. And he's like, whoa, like, you know, brother, like, you know, I missed the brotherhood. He was like a Marine. And I was like, yeah, you missed the brotherhood. He's like, yeah. I'm like, how old are you? He was like 30. I was like, man, you missed the Corps, like the brothers. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, man, I'm going to get you back in. Like, I know a Marine recruiter. Let's get you signed up. We'll get you back with the brother. And I go into this like detailed thing. And he's like, well, listen, man.
If you miss it that bad.
And then he goes, and then I was like, then what the fuck are we talking? Why am I on the phone with you? And he's like, well, I was like, listen, you want me to help you? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, you got to do two things. You got to wake up for the next week. You got to drink 1 gallon of water. You have to walk or run 4 miles every day and text me at 4 o'clock in the morning, which is like 5 o'clock my time. And he's like, okay. And I was like, and no alcohol. Call me in a week. Never met this guy. Every morning he texts me. Does it. Okay. Next week, he said, what am I supposed to? I said, keep doing it. I'm like, he does it. 3rd week goes by, still doing it. 4th week goes by, he's trying to call me, gets a hold of me. He's like, man, I've never felt better like in my life. He said, well, you know, what am I supposed to do? I was like, write down 3 things that you always want to do if money were no object in your life. Whatever it is, write them down. He says, okay, writes them down on a piece of paper. I said, call me in a month, keep doing this every day and take Saturdays off or whatever. He does it. He loses a shit ton of weight. And he's finishing his 2nd semester in flight paramedic school, moved his family, got to college. Like, he's a full-time college student, changed his whole life, quit his job. All these things happened.
Right.
And he calls me up. He's like, listen, man, I know the season's coming up. I want to go to Heroes and Horses. I said, no way. He's like, well, I did everything you told me to do. I said, yeah, so you already did Heroes and Horses. He's like, well, I didn't actually come to the program. I'm like, yeah, but you
did the satellite program.
You did it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And that was
Surprise.
it. That was like, and it was so mind-boggling to him. He was like, well, I was like, you don't need a program.
No, you
don't even need that.
You need to be able to affect
and
change.
drinking water and quit drinking alcohol for a month changed his life. It's that simple. Wake up and do the opposite of what you did the day before, and that's where change begins. Period. There's 2 boxes in life, the S box and the no box. Anybody that tells you it's any different, I think they're a liar.
Do you think it's easier for people to make excuses in today's day and age than when they're like 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe not to make the excuse, but to facilitate the excuse.
Yeah. It's nuts.
People can make the same excuses, but they can fucking facilitate it so much easier.
The one-eyed devil, dude.
So much easier.
The one-eyed
there.
devil.
And
It's the cell phone.
what blows me away, and I mean, we talked about him earlier today, but Mike Glover
Yeah.
says something awesome, which is when you get up in the morning and you think you don't have time to work out or you think you don't have time to do something, how much time are you spending on your damn phone in the morning before you actually do anything meaningful? And by meaningful, he means anything besides looking at your damn phone.
You give up your sovereignty in the morning.
It's probably 45 minutes, hour and a half. I mean, some people are dedicating 2 hours to their damn phone. You're not even at fucking work. What are you doing? Put it down.
The funny thing is, I look at this thing, and it's like I look at this thing like purely as an electronic leash. Like it's like,
and that's all it is.
I fucking hate this thing so much, and like I look into the future, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is you have to start these visualization exercises where you're looking at the self that you need to be, and whether it's tomorrow or a week or whatever it is, you have to put yourself in that positive environment because it's funny. I don't know why people don't think about it like this, but it's like, dude, this thing up here, the eyes, the eyes and the hands and everything else that pull in all this information, doesn't know the difference sometimes. You know, if you're thinking about those big ass titties and that fucking butthole that you want to fuck or whatever it is,
Massive
Or
cock.
lick.
your fucking your
Hairless balls.
dick is going to get as erect and as hard
Right
as
now.
if there were
Yeah.
some big ass titties right in front of you. And that, so you can live that life, but you have to put yourself a year, 2 years, 3 years, tomorrow, whatever it is. You have to start putting yourself in that environment. And I was talking to my wife about this entire thing where I'm like, man, because she was like, dude, you know, we're actually talking about David Goggins. So we're talking about David Goggins. And she like unwrapped this entire conversation about David Goggins, and I was like, hey, dude, like you don't need a coach, like you really don't. You got to sit down in the morning. You got to spend a half hour and just literally think about the person that you want to be, and then go, okay, but I have to come up with a plan. So if this is the person that I want to be, I have to come up with a plan in order to do that. And then confidence targets, which is one of the things that you were talking about, which is like I sat in the airport and I did as many push-ups as I could in an hour. Well, if you don't have any confidence and you don't truly believe that you can get to that position or that point in life, well, a super easy confident target is like, can you drink a gallon of water? Fuck yeah, you can.
Can you get up an
fuck
hour
yeah, you can.
earlier?
Yeah.
Can you get up an hour earlier
Yeah.
and go for a walk?
Or even better, can you put your fucking ego goddamn aside and do some fucking push-ups in the airport? There's a lot of people that will be paralyzed by the fact that maybe they're embarrassed.
People are going to look at me, but
Yeah.
that's a confidence issue. That's a
They
confidence
shoot you with
thing.
mind bullets.
But that,
Yeah.
but that,
Fuck everyone. of
but
those
that
people.
grows with doing that. Like
Jack Black
for
was
me, I mean, frankly, there were people looking, and there were airport employees walking around, looking at me like a weirdo. But
You're a weirdo.
I am a weirdo, and
Good weird.
It was
to
the rabbit
me-
suit you were wearing.
Yeah, well,
There you have it. It was the
you
clown
know,
suit.
nobody needs to know about the fanny pack and the rabbit suit, but the reality is, I've boiled my existence down to I want to be an asset, not a liability. And that's not just physical. And right now, the most visceral part of that is physical. And I've responded to a lot of nasty things out in the backcountry, base jumping and climbing and just being out there a lot. And I've had to carry people out miles at a time, literally on my shoulders, carry people out. And that's not me patting myself on the back. That's just fucking reality. And if I'm going to be putting myself in this scenario, I'm going to be that person that's an asset. And if that means I have to be healthy and I have to be fit, then that's just fucking reality. And that's not me telling anybody that you have to do that. But that took one step, which was I want to be an asset, not a liability. So if you want to be an asset, not a liability, is I already have kids and I want to raise good children. You being an asset is raising kids that have a handle on life, you know, and they want to be good people.
It's so funny. It's like somebody was asking me the other day. It was like, "Hey man, how do you be a good dad?" And I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck kind of a question is that?
Beat
It's
it,
dumb
nerd."
as fuck." Yeah, it's first
Kids
of
are
all, it's dumb
doomed.
as fuck. Okay, man, I want to be a
How old are your
better.
kids?
I
They're
want to be
already
a better
doomed.
dad. How do you be a better dad? I'm
How
like,
old are they? 37? You're like,
and I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking about the dad that I want to be, and I want my kids.
yeah.
If I'm looking at my kids and I go, how are my kids going to look at me? What are they going to think about their dad? And put yourself in that position and say, okay, this is the dad that I want to be.
Yeah.
Not the cool. Like,
Everything matters.
and it's like you're going to be that guy. Like if you're a fucking dick and you think that because your dad was a fucking dick or your mom was a dick, it's like, welcome to the fucking party, dude. Like everybody's fucking parents were fucked up.
I mean, I grew up without a dad, man. I wish I had a dad that was a dick. You know,
Right.
I didn't have one. I mean,
He didn't
fuck.
have one.
Yeah. Dude, listen, the best people that I know have like the shittiest like backstories. Like the like,
weirdest
Yeah,
family
because like
stories.
you learn to face and overcome, challenges. I think like what you believe, you become. Like I am
Absolutely.
fundamentally convinced of that. Like, and what you say, like it's incriminating one way or the other.
It's
like,
habituation.
It's habituation. You keep saying these things like, well, like I've done this and I've done that, and you're literally like, before we went to space, somebody said, can we go to space? So it means like questions are more important than answers.
Exactly.
You have to ask the right questions
And care about
to
the
get
answer.
the right answers.
And care about the answer.
And what I was saying earlier, like for a long time, right before I was getting out of the military, that felt like I was an imposter. The whole, I want to be an asset, not a liability. And it's been going on long enough now,
Seal
like years
imposter.
and years and years, where I'm like, that's my fucking lifestyle. Like I am habituating that thing.
I think another thing people need to do is
it really happens. Like you can manifest that sort of shit. Like I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good business owner. I want to be a good, you name that thing. And if it's within arm's reach, it's there. You can make that happen.
you can also find a positive in every situation. So, good buddy of mine, Chris Irwin, he was a team
Name
guy.
dropper.
And I'm just adding context. He told me, he said, no matter how shitty the situation was, no matter how bad the training thing was, he said they always had this one guy on the team that always like found a positive in that situation and always used it as like a learning, situation. I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. A buddy of mine, going back to dead parents and shit. A buddy of mine, a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, his mother passed away. And he was like, "Oh, fucked up, man." And he was kind of dragging out the sorrow thing. And I said, "Hey, man,
Mr. Sensitive over here.
no, but I
God
told him,
damn it, he spent 24 hours.
You're gonna get the
mourning
big
over this.
Sierra Award.
No, but I told him, I said, dude, you got a lifetime of memories with your mother. The last time I spoke to my dad was when I was 5 years old. I'm 43. It was 37 years ago. I'd give anything to be in your situation right now. He's like, man, that's pretty fucking heavy, man. And I was like, think about it. I mean, I understand you lost your mom, you're upset, but like, fuck, dude, think about the memories that you had with her and like focus on that, man. Not like being sad for 3 fucking weeks. It's time to get over it. I mean, that was a little harsh, but
But I think that's actually one of the things that combat, specifically for me, right? I was trying to explain this to somebody. I was like, it's extremely freeing. It was a freeing experience. You write yourself off as dead, typically, right? I'm already dead. Doesn't matter. Like, fucking gone.
You're totally out of control of a huge amount of the consequences of the situation that's about to happen.
You have to live in the moment. Like, you have to live in the moment. Actually, there is no tomorrow.
No, it's now.
It's now. So it forces you to be right there, present in the circumstance. Life or death matter. Things all around you, like, they matter.
It's totally analog.
The only rules are: can I organize? Can I psychologically? Can I manifest words that come out of my fucking mouth and over the radio and everything else in order to organize and orchestrate something that will kill something else? The laws are physics. Like they're pretty straight up, dude. Like things moving at high velocity with tactical with tactical advantage. But other than that, like there ain't no fucking rules, dog. Like you want to drive on the opposite side of the road, you want to drive through that building, you want to drop a fucking bomb, you want to do anything you want. Like,
there's a shit ton of metal flying around right now.
hey man, time to live life. Cause this shit's gonna go off and it's gonna be fucking real. It's in fucking high def, yo. Like you're gonna live, like but you're gonna live, like maybe for the first time.
Time has no meaning to you right now.
I'm a lead farmer.
But I think that's where I think that epiphany where I'm like, man, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like, I mean, really, there's ROE and a bunch of other stuff that go in that. But
Are they still doing that?
I don't know.
What's
I
ROE?
never actually
He's like,
understood
and
that.
let me throw the asterisk on this.
I gotta
footnote.
I gotta throw those things out to say like, yeah, this is like ROE and stuff. You know,
row.
I mean, there's like rules, but
I think
it's like I remember we were hot wiring a fucking cement truck to drive through the front portion of this compound. We're like, I think this is gonna be awesome. Like this has got a lot of weight, and I think this is gonna be awesome, guys. Like this is gonna be awesome. Like no more explosives, but we're like, this is
we'll
fucking.
just use a cement truck.
But there's like a bunch of shit laying around. And we're like, let's take that cement truck and let's fucking drive it through the front gate. That seems like a good idea.
Make some shoes for everybody.
But it was like,
Hey, there's no ocean out there.
and I remember thinking like, I'm hot wiring a cement truck to drive through the front gate of a fucking compound.
You had that "this is my life right now" moment, didn't you?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's,
you did.
But that's where I'm like, and then you start thinking crazy shit. You're like, you're on top of a fucking roof somewhere. You're like, I'm gonna throw all these motherfuckers off the top of this roof. This is gonna be fucking. Wait, hold on.
Back up,
man. Maybe you should dial it back a little bit. But
I like this story.
There's a Terp
a
with
lot.
us.
I'm a big fan of this story.
wait, hold on.
Spooking the target. Push it out.
Dave, delete the last 5 minutes of this podcast.
But if
What's
people
going on
use
over there?
that, and I think that's where there are planes of reality, and I'm not trying to fucking frame us as like people that. I think
crazy.
if you use the experience to say this is an insignificant exercise and nothing really matters, so what I'm going to do is spend the time that I have here making things matter. Fuck, man. Like, you don't want to, like, you really don't. Like, I mean, when I say that, it's like, man, I take Motrin, like, every now and again, like, when I have some fucking thing that's, like preventing me from, like, walking or sleeping or whatever it is, but I want to experience it. I want to get into it. I want to fucking dig it out and figure it out. Yeah. But people get into this mode where they're like, there are all these constructs and rules and fucking I got to live under this. And it's like, man, you really don't. Like, all of these things, like, you don't have to drink Mountain Dew. You don't even have to have a fucking cell phone if you don't want one. You don't have to an email address. You don't have to fucking have a car.
You don't have to have another
everywhere.
beer. You don't have to have another beer.
I just heard a buddy of mine say something very similar. I was trying to remember who it was so that I could at least remember the story correctly about the Motrin thing, right? He's like, look, he got hurt recently. He pulled something in his back lifting. And he's like, I wasn't taking any pain meds. None. Went to the hospital. Couldn't stand up straight. And the doc's like, I'm not going to give you any meds. He thought he was seeking. Now, granted, he's like 6'2" and fit like a football player. Like, yeah, okay, I'm sure that guy's seeking.
He looks
Let's
like
draw some
Micah.
Let's draw some fucking conclusions here. It doesn't matter. The point of the story is exactly what you're saying. He was trying to experience what was going on. He doesn't want to dull the pain. He wants to know what's going on with his body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that shit matters. And part of that is habituation.
Psychological injuries are identical.
Exactly.
Same thing.
What you're getting those guys to do is habituate being able to identify what's going on inside themselves.
Yeah. Get ready to suffer your way to grace and happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why that works. That's why that's doing good for those guys.
Let me ask you a question. Like, do people know the shit that you're talking about that weren't in SEALs and stuff? Like, I'm hearing all these things that are coming out of your mouth. And it's like, where the fuck in life did you learn all this shit? That's what I want to know. Like, these sayings and these fucking awesome things. Like, did you read it? Or, like,
No.
Would you know these things if
I
you...
lived. I lived it. It's the way that it's the way I grew up as a child. It's the lifestyle that I had where I was like, I learned. I never. People think like sometimes they hear me say stuff or whatever. You know, that's like it's literally just original thought. It's the way that I process and look at the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like,
It's the way that I look at the world, and it's not by any design of my own. It's about
some buds instructor and yelling at you 1,000 times.
no.
Original thoughts. That's cool.
You would have landed in the Amazon regardless of whether
I
or not
would have
you would've
landed there
went.
regardless. Like
Yeah.
I was, here I am, on the World Trade Center, on a telephone pole, and my inclination was not to run away. I got in my car. I put all not my car, but I got in my work truck. I drove, put it back, got my car, and drove into New York City and parked on Cherry and Montgomery Street.
How old were you when that happened?
People were 22. And people were screaming, and it was chaos, like the city. And I pulled the sleeves off my shirt, put it around my face. I grew up. I was a tough kid. I boxed. I wasn't like into the military or anything like that. And I put that thing over my face, and I went directly into the smoke, like to help. I didn't have a plan. Like, what was I going to do when I got there? I didn't know anything, but I just knew I wanted to do something. So here's like people going this way, and I'm just going in there, not a rescue worker or anything. And I think that some of us, like, there's kind of really like two people in the world I always talk about in boxing, and I got to do some cool stuff in boxing, and and there's two kinds of people in the world. There's a person that gets punched in the face, and then you see him like in the gym, and they're the person that's like, whoa, like that's like I just went Queer Street, like what happened? I'm on ice skates right now. And there's the other person that gets punched and is like, I'm going to do that to you like 50 times worse. There's just really the two kinds of people. Like some people develop it and stuff, but other people have that instinct. And not everybody is supposed to have that instinct because the world would be an unbalanced place.
Right.
You know, the world would be an unbalanced place if everybody was an alpha male, brother. You know, like the world would be horrible.
Till Valhalla,
everybody would be dead. You know,
3%. Where's your ticket?
Yeah.
Mulan labia.
There'd be no roids left for the rest of the world.
My dad said something. My dad said something very similar to me growing up. I must have been 13 or 14. He's like, "Look, you're gonna get in fights. Like, I know it's gonna happen, and you're either gonna get in a fight with somebody and they're gonna get on the ground, and that's gonna be it, or you're gonna get in a fight with somebody, and you're gonna look at them and they're gonna snort up whatever blood is around their nose, and you have a fucking fight in your hand." That's it. There's two types of people.
That's it. Like, and I think that's why guys fight. That's why guys become. And listen, if they didn't join the military, listen. I know some of cowboys. They're some of the toughest dudes I have ever met, and they've never served a day in SOF, but they are tough.
They are tough.
Getting on these rank horses.
I have met some outfitters like that.
Tell you something. Some of these boys are tough, and they're like they're just life took them on a different path. And I have respect for people that in whatever craft, whatever they're doing, they're always pushing it. They're always improving.
They're epic.
I mean, I go out, old cowboy. He's 79. He got his rodeo card in 1941. And
single-digit rodeo card.
He's an incredible guy. He's still getting on colts to this day. He's like, I'll die on a horse. And he served in the military. He was a lieutenant in the Army. And it's really interesting because people like that, like they have something different inside them. It's a different genetic makeup. It doesn't mean that any one person is better than anybody else.
No, it's just a different fire.
It's just a different fire. So I think that, for me, I never was raised to be the victim of anything from anyone, no matter what. It was just a mentality that was not accepted in my life. I never even thought about that. And so I think like throughout my life, I didn't understand it. But that's the things that took me to the Amazon. I traveled the world. I've been all over. All these adventures and things that I've done in my life was me not really understanding who I really was as a person. And that all came into view when I kind of like got out of the military and started making these life changes. I started maturing. I started like understanding what was driving me in a lot of ways. And then I've been able to kind of focus that down and distill it into ideas by really living it. I'm the kind of guy where you're like, that'll burn you. I'm like, man, I'm like in a bandage for like a week. But then I'm an expert on burns.
So let me try.
Like, I'll never get burned again, but I gotta stick my hand in there. Like I'm that kind of guy. People like, hey, I think that ladder is broken. I'm like, for you. And I like climb up and I've fallen.
Please don't touch that fence. Why? It's wet paint.
I got electrocuted on a telephone pole. I was like, in Long Island, I'm like climbing up this pole and it's all this shit on this pole and it's pouring rain out and this old lineman's like, why don't we just wait it out? I'm like, okay. And I was like, and I start climbing up this pole and there's like a wire sticking out of like a street lamp. And luckily I never belt when I climb, and back then, and I climb up, I'm kind of scurrying around. I was like, it's kind of like a little tricky getting up there. And so I belt off and I go around the light and it was pouring rain. I'm soaking wet and there's a wire sticking out and it hit me like right in the chest and it's 220 and my hands went straight up like just like and I just went like completely limp and I was hung in my harness, like hanging up there, and I could just hear the guy on the ground. He's like, "You dumb piece of shit!" He's like yelling at me down there, and I'm like, "Hey!" Like I couldn't breathe. I thought I had a heart attack. He had to get the truck and come up, and I was like, he booms up, and he's like, "You dumb idiot!" And he's like, I was like, "I'll never do that again." He's like, "Well, you should have listened to me." I was like, "Yeah, but I didn't believe you." I just couldn't believe him.
But now I learned my lesson.
Let me ask you this: you ever felt sorry for yourself?
No,
never.
No.
Evan?
Yeah. I mean, I caught a glimpse of the Saris about one time. I think it was probably around 2015 for about probably maybe 5 minutes. before I got up and I was like, never again. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I would actually agree with him. I guess there's been some like little short glimpses where I kind of look in behind the curtain a little bit.
Right.
And I feel like when you're doing good things for people, you have a tendency to feel like a little more like life should be nicer to you. Because like, hey, I'm making shit money. I'm working 7 days a week, you know. I'm busting my ass. I'm like giving back, like trying to like. And so when bad shit starts happening, like it's a very easy to feel like, you know, it'd be like Helen Keller getting robbed. You know, like, you know, she's like, I'm a blind, handicapped nurse helping people. And
that's a good one. I'm gonna use that in public.
Right.
Yeah.
No, dude, I lost everything in real estate in 2008, and I felt sorry for myself for 48 hours. Talk about growing up without a father.
Yeah.
Very, very stubborn, wanted to raise myself, do everything my own way. Mother instilled and she'll tell you to this day, she overdid it with my confidence level. And felt sorry for myself for about 48 hours. You ever tried to punch yourself in the face? It's fucking impossible. No. I beat my own ass, and I was like, you will never, ever feel sorry for yourself again, you fucking loser. And that was it. But there was 48 hours where I had the little, oh, woe is me pity party. Life's so horrible. I don't deserve this. And I was like, this is not doing a fucking thing to solve this problem. No. So let me ask you, Trevor, you ever felt sorry for yourself?
Oh, yeah. 3 days after Hell Week. 4 days.
What? I thought you guys were supposed to be like high-fiving each other and shit.
No. That was when
fucking dick looks like a Twizzler, dude. There's nothing to high-five about.
So that was when that was when we were able to redo the drown proofing.
Oh, yeah.
And I had like a little bit of walking pneumonia. And I failed, and they put me through a DRB. And I was like, oh.
What's a DRB for those that don't know?
It's a disciplinary review board. I thought I was getting bumped out of buds. I'm like, well, this is how it ends. I did everything I could, and I got sick, and I made it through Hell Week, and I'm fucked.
And they told you, like, you just have weak genetics, probably.
So
that's what they always say to guys that get sick. I'm like, dude, it's actually bacteria, I think. Like, it's like a virus.
Weak genetics.
He got bit by a brown recluse.
This shit's post-Hell Week, and I walk in there, and they're like, hey, yeah, no, you're not the problem. Don't look so sorry for yourself. Get out of here. That's how that DRB went.
Yeah.
And like, I have a very vivid memory of that being the most sorry time I've ever felt for myself ever. Because I was like, I'm fucked. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, this is all my fault.
And I'll tell you what, man, like a day after I felt sorry for myself or whenever that was, I linked up with a former team guy that was permanently wheelchair bound, lost his ability to speak. He's got traumatic brain injury, iPad to communicate. He's got to get in and out of his truck with a lift and the whole thing. And he was in, and he was laughing and fucking joking around, and he's missing one leg. The other one's basically incapacitated. He's had a stroke, and I mean, but he was laughing and having a fucking good time. And you know what? He took the time to stop by the shop to see us. And that fucking hit me like a freight train.
Yeah, he took his time to go there.
Yeah.
That hit me like a fucking freight train. I was like, never, ever, ever again in my fucking life will I ever fucking feel sorry for myself for 1 fucking second. And because we owe it, and I mean, I truly believe that. It's like we fucking owe it to be like, dude, everything and anything this life fucking gives me, and if you work hard, it's going to reward you. But at the end of the day, we have everything, man. Like fucking limbs, eyesight, everything fucking going for us.
It doesn't. It's like stress and anxiety. Man, I hear buddies like, man, I'm really stressed out, man. I got fucking anxiety like a motherfucker. I was like, let me ask you a question, man. So you're trying to work through a problem. What is that doing to help you solve your problem? Like, what benefit is stress and anxiety bringing to this equation to solve this problem? Absolutely nothing. It's like, hey, I'm going to go run a marathon. You're tying an anchor around your foot and dragging it down the road. Why? Cut it loose, man. Like, you have the mind power just to cut it loose. Just focus on solving that problem. and get rid of it because it's not helping you. It's not doing anything for you.
It's so much work to think positive comparatively than thinking negative. It's so easy to think negative. You always have those guys that are always like negative. I mean,
but why?
If you brought a gold nugget to their house in their truck, they'd be like, you totally like scratch the bed up.
This is shaped like a dick, bro. That's
just-
kind
yeah.
of gay. That's kind of gay, dude. I
They
don't know.
just won the lotto, $100 million. It's like, well, I
Yeah.
got to pay taxes on it, man.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do with all those boxes?
We're gonna lose 50% of this fucking lotto, man.
Yeah.
What the fuck? The man's trying to fuck me, man. Take my money, hard-earned money. It's like you fucking won $100 million on a scratch-off lotto. Give him I'll give him $80 million.
My
That's
time at
fine.
7-Eleven is worthwhile. the thing is, like, there is a huge movement, if that's what you want to call it, where people are like, like I said earlier, like struggle gives everything in life value. Every single thing in life value has a struggle and value component to it.
Part of
period.
our genetic makeup.
It is. And so that's why the show is like Naked and Afraid, obstacle course races. People are literally listen, you could be like a total bum. You go, you do a 3-mile Spartan race, and next thing you know, you're the tough guy at the office. You walk in like, yeah, dude, I was like mile 1.2 on the Garmin.
There's no big events. It's like
that's when they tased me.
Fuzzy pillow fight.
And everyone in the office is like, whoa, you like did something. And all of a sudden, I mean, it's that simple. It's the Super Bowl. I mean, oil and gas, gold, mining, platinum, copper, it all has, whatever the struggle component is, gives it a specific value. The same thing with being a Navy SEAL has value to me because if I just walked in there like, you look like you'd be a good Navy SEAL, here you go, it'd have no value. It doesn't matter. So the obstacle that you're facing in life, more likely than likely, is your opportunity in life that you're looking for. Really. Because the guy's like, guy loses a leg. Maybe he's a subpar soldier, maybe whatever, So all of a sudden he's a motivational speaker, right? He learned about himself because he was dealt a hand. He had an option to play that hand. One guy winds up, in the CrossFit games. The other guy winds up shooting heroin in Opelika, Texas. What's the difference? Simple. Choices. It always comes back to choices. I either accept this or I don't accept this. And that's the two boxes that there is. And if you let life happen to you, you will perpetually be the victim. Viktor Frankl there's a great book. We have the guys read it that come through the program called Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh yeah.
And he was a psychologist that was in Auschwitz for 4 years, and he really studied and recorded why people died. While he himself was there. And he has a quote that I think about, I would say, almost every single day. And he said that there's a space between stimulus and time. And we can't control the stimulus and we can't control the time. But in between stimulus and time, that there's a space there. And in that space is our ability to make a choice. And therein lives freedom from everything. So if I was to lock you in a box that's 5 foot by 5 foot, and you could never leave the box, I could never take your ability to make a choice away. You can find freedom even in that box because you can make choices. And to me, like, if you read that book, a lot of guys that are like, I got the government screwed me and the vets and all that stuff. It's like, read that book. You want to talk about real torture and hell? Try watching, tens of thousands of people being gassed every day and just wondering if you're next for years. And he realized that in that place, he found hope and meaning in his ability to choose, which can never be taken away from us until our life ends. And that, to me, is like what veterans are missing. Like, they're missing that. They're missing that they have the ability to wake up and make a choice. And that could be, all these guys out there, do this and do that, run around and do all. You have to do. That's why I did a TED Talk, and it was like, my title was the anti-motivational speaker. And because I fucking hate that. I hate the motivation stuff. I hate because when the motivator leaves, so does the motivation. You fizzle out when you leave the Tony Robbins. Everyone's like, you can be a successful business. And then they get in the car and it's like, shut up, Betty. We got a 10-hour drive home.
Yeah,
like
tomorrow we're going to start.
These fucking kids are driving me insane.
Yeah.
It's like, you put your
Yeah,
dick.
no, it's like no. I
in a
made
vagina.
an Instagram post about that. It's like I see these people reading these fucking stupid ass books, and they're circling and quoting lines in the book, and it's like, dude, I've known you for 6 years. You've been doing the same shit, and it's always fucking tomorrow. Like, yo, man, tomorrow, bro, hustle, grind. 2019 goals and missions that I'm gonna accomplish. It's like, fuck off. Don't talk about it. From the time that it took you to make this post and take this picture of that stupid book, you could be doing what you're talking about doing. Everyone knows the answers, I think. I just think they're just too lazy to do it, or something prevents them. I don't know what that is.
It's hard work because growth. So I tell a story about how when I first moved to Montana, I had this garden. Long story short, I dug this huge garden with a pickaxe, and I was like all into gardening. I did the vet thing.
You
Gardening's
killed it
gonna
like
heal
a
me.
proper team guy, didn't you?
Oh, dude, I was out there just like, and I had these neighbors. I'm all tatted up, like little catch me, fuck me shorts on. I'm out there like pickaxe.
Yeah.
I just moved to Montana. They're like, oh God, he's a vet.
The
He's got
fact that you
PTS.
use that term, catch me, fuck me. I love that. That's good.
So I'm out there. I was like, I had all these like, my wife's like really into gardening. I had all these like, starter plants that I had.
Yes,
planted
I am.
seeds. And I was like, now that the work's done, I'm like, these things got to grow. I got to transplant them. I was like,
Right.
So I would go there all the time. I would always brush the dirt away or whatever. And to kind of, as soon as they would go, just to get them going faster. And I'd keep watering them.
Big bad 6'5" Navy
Right.
SEAL
I
moving
killed
the dirt for his little
every
plant.
single plant that we had. They all died. And my wife was like, you killed all the plants. Now we got to go to Home Depot and buy them, the starters. And I realized in that moment that I had helped them to death. I had helped them to death. That the struggle was that component
You
of
squeezed the
growth
life
that they
out of
needed
them.
it. No, I made it. They needed the struggle. They needed to push and to
Right.
grow, to develop the roots. And that's what we do to human beings. We help people to death.
And the thing that I will say is the reason you did that, the reason those plants died is because I'm going to shoot a video and it's going to be called Navy SEAL Gardening, and it's just a dude with a bullhorn yelling at his plants with a fucking hose, like fucking, you fucking piece of shit plants! What the fuck is wrong with you?
Grow,
with a
motherfucker,
bullhorn, and he's
grow.
like,
They said rutabagas would heal me.
you guys are fucking shitbags, butt fucking quitters. You fucking butt fucking quitter. Fuck you. Fuck you.
My parsnips are small because of VA.
Can this be like full on Viggo Mortensen, like yelling
And
at
like
Demi Moore?
straight on. It's just Navy SEAL Gardener. That's going to be the skit.
Instructor
And-
Pyra from G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
You got
You don't
fresh
need-
carrots? Probably not, nerd.
You don't need darkness. That's why I brought out these fucking lamps. You got lamps. You got light 24 hours a day, you fucking shitbag
Oh, you feel too
quitter
wet?
fucks.
Go get wet.
Carcinogenic causing fucking veggies is what you're going to create.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have cauliflower ear, but I've got real cauliflower.
just so you know, that video is going to be fucking hot, and I am going to tag you in
You
it.
better wear fucking UDTs.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to
No.
start an Instagram page called Wigs84.
How to grow carcinogenic veggies.
Wigs84. But I actually was like joking with my buddy. I was like, hey, because he kind of like really weird. He's a vet. He's a Marine pilot. He's like, yo, man, like we're just getting to be good buds. He's like, like I kind of like, you like Phil Collins? And I was like, fuck yeah, I love Phil Collins. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. He's like, I wonder how many vets out there like Phil Collins, but like are afraid to come out. I was like, we need to provide like a safe place where
Yeah.
vets can get together and hashtag vets for Phil. And so I was like, we need a safe place where vets can get together and share their love for Phil Collins. Like, we need these safe places for vets.
Yeah.
You know?
Y'all are laughing.
I
and
mean,
I'm sitting
you
over
know,
here just serious, like, are you guys
Tyson
fucking
can,
around? Or like,
maybe Mike
I think-
Tyson can speak for the group.
can you allow
Thuns out, guns out.
can you allow non-vets to join the group? Because I'm a huge Phil Collins fan.
I don't know.
Me too, man.
27 inch, but that guy's talented.
Dude, Susu Studio, man.
Susu Studio, man.
Fuck yeah,
Like,
big
that's-
ass little waterhead running around dancing in little orange suits and shit, playing saxophone and
He was so mean
piano
to Peter
and
Gabriel.
keyboard.
And
So
then
mean.
Genesis.
Well,
They was up in Genesis.
But hold on a second. Seriously,
yeah.
are you really like you a big Phil Collins fan?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, that doesn't come from
Yeah,
nowhere.
because I had a Sony Walkman that the tape was stuck in there.
There you go. There you go.
And it's the only tape I could play for like a whole summer, and I listened to it all
just
the
dating
time.
yourself a little.
I was like totally like fundamentally understood what it's like to be living two separate lives. Like I was like 12,
Hey.
and I was like, man, that divorce is nasty shit, man.
I can feel it coming in there. That's how you kick off Buds Hell Week.
Yeah.
When I was a Buds instructor, I played I Can Feel It Coming
I mean,
in there all
if
night.
the soundtrack to Tarzan doesn't tear you up, man, you got no soul.
Well, a quick Phil Collins story.
Oh God.
Tell it straight.
This is how gullible I was in elementary school. So one of my buddies was like, my dad is Phil Collins' brother and looked fucking almost identical to him, right? So
Ouch.
I'm like, holy shit, like, and when you're in elementary school, you think the world is like, your town, right?
It's
and
flat.
maybe a little bit bigger, right?
Yeah.
But it's not that big. So I'm like, I told all my family, like, hey, Jeff's dad is Phil Collins' brother. Like, holy shit,
We're totally gonna meet him.
And I'm like, I held on to this. Like, I was like fucking violent towards my family. Like, bullshit. And I'm like, you guys don't fucking know, man. Like, that you don't know. Like, he's Phil Collins' brother. So I was like going to the mats for this dude for a long time about his dad being Phil Collins' brother. Now, the funny thing is,
It's mean.
is the last time I saw him, I was like, I should punch you in the fucking mouth. We're 40 years old. And he's like, why, dude? What are you talking about? I'm like, you lying piece of living fucking dog shit. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I went to the mats for you and my fucking family for a year looking like an idiot. Talking about how your dad was Phil Collins' brother. He's like, shut up. He didn't even remember it. Right?
He forgot that lie he told you in
And he's
third
like-
grade.
in like third grade. And I'm like, I'm still holding on to this shit, man. I'm like, you motherfucker, I should
I got
punch
that
you
in
in
my
the
damn
mouth.
back pocket.
Speaking of Phil Collins, so Evan and I live in San Antonio where the Alamo is. Do you know who the world's largest collector of Alamo memorabilia is? Do you know who
Phil
that is?
Collins?
Phil Collins. P. Collins.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
P. Collins.
P. Collins has been fucking buying Alamo memorabilia since he made his first famous song. He's obsessed
Sending
with
it back to
Now
Mexico.
he's donating it all back to the museums and shit. True story.
I've got a really so I've never watched a football game in my life.
Seriously?
For fuck's sake.
Like
Come
on
on.
TV or
Nope.
in person ever?
No, actually, matter of fact, my last trip on the program, I threw my football for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, and the only sport I ever really did was boxing, and I skied and stuff. But anyway, so I'm in New York City like a month ago, and I'm at this really nice place called the Franklin, and we're meeting with some people that want to support the program. Anyway, they set this little dinner up, and so Francis is my chief operating officer.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he
Shut
moved to
the-
Montana,
shut the
bought a
fuck up.
house. He's my
Seriously?
right hand guy. Yeah, he's been amazing.
God,
you know?
that's great, man.
Yeah,
He's a great dude.
Dude, he's the
He's a
dude,
great
the
dude.
mantis. I love Francis, and
He's still skinny as shit.
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's trying to get jacked, and I mean he has been for 10 years.
Yeah.
Ongoing
he's been
story,
trying
right?
for a long time.
Love you, buddy.
Skinny guy trying to get jacked.
Yeah, Rick's the man, dude. He's one of my super close buds. But anyway, so we're there with Rick, and he's got a sport coat. I got a t-shirt out. I'm roll into this thing, and we're in New York City, and this huge, tall, 6 foot whatever, 10 black guy walks in with this other guy, and kind of a heavy set guy, and he walks in, and I kind of look at him, and he kind of gives me a look, and the short guy looks at me, he's like, "What's up?" And I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "You know me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know you." He's like, "All right." And he kind of walks by. I was like, "Hey, Rick, that's Timberland, the rapper." And Rick's like, "What the fuck's that?" And I was like, "Dude, Timberland." So I Google him and I show him. I was like, it kind of looks a little different. So I can notice the bellhops are all amped up at this place. So yeah, they're all so I walk over and I was like, I walk up to the tall guy and I'm like, "Hey, is that who I think it is?" And he's like 6'10". He's like, "Yo, who you think that is?" And I was like, "Timberland, the rapper." And he's like, "Nah, son, nah." And he walks away. I was like, So I go sit back down on the couch. I was like, and Rick's like, "Well, was it the guy?" I was like, I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to conceal his identity. So I walk over to the bellhop and I was like, "Hey, is that who I think it is?" He goes, "Yeah, man, that's Lamar Odom, 2-time NBA champ, son." And I was like, "Who?" He's like, "Lamar Odom." I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "I have no idea." So I Googled. I'm like, "Damn, that guy's actually famous." So I went to Lamar Odom and I said, "So who's his buddy?" He goes, "I don't know, his fat friend." That's why I went to Lamar Odom and I asked him who his buddy was, and he was just probably "You don't know who I am?" And I was like,
Oh,
who's your
fuck.
buddy?"
Who's your
No,
buddy?
that's why they say white people are
Hilarious.
fucking crazy, man. It's because of
Yeah,
shit
white
like
people
that.
are crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
white people are crazy.
Yeah, I'm just Timberland, man. He had some beats back in the day. That's what I was trying to.
I like doing
point-
that.
did they
Those
know
are
you-
beats.
Like I like doing that just to fuck with famous people or pseudo famous people. Like I do it like a lot when I have the opportunity to include.
I didn't do that on purpose. I thought I was like on to something.
But even when
so innocent,
ask him.
so innocent, so pure. The
I found
6'5"
Timberland.
seagull.
it's so good, man.
It was so pure. And it was so funny because Rick was just
man.
like, he was so like out of the. He's like, what? Like, was it the?
Rick's like,
was
what
it the
is going
Timberland
on?
guy?
Timberland
What's
guy?
going on right now?
You know, Rick is.
And Rick is so like he's kind of uptight,
Yeah.
but he's super cool. He's like kind
Oh,
of uptight,
he's
but he's
so-
super
yeah.
fucking cool.
It's cool.
And well, even just earlier today, you know who BJ Baldwin is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
No,
So-
I was there.
you were there for the joke, right? You were there for the joke.
was hilarious.
So I've wanted to meet BJ for a long time.
That's
Like,
why I
I've-
stone faced it.
I've wanted to meet him for a long time, and I told myself when I met him, what I was going to do was go, dude, I love the Hoonicorn. Like Escape
Yeah.
from LA is my
Yeah.
favorite video because that like
Escape from LA.
talk to him like because you know who Ken Block is. Ken Block's a rally race car driver. They're
He
both
does, like,
sponsored
stunt-
by
stunt-
they're
yeah,
both
yeah, yeah.
sponsored
Rally
by
driving. Yeah.
Monster. And like Ken Block's a super cool dude, and I've met him a couple times. But when I met Ken Block, I kept on telling him like, man, I love your content. Like I love your 4x stuff. Like I was telling him that he was BJ Baldwin, and then BJ Baldwin, and I was like, hey man, I love your Escape from LA. The Hoonicorn's awesome. So both of them, I'm
That
like
was a good one.
That's like my thing.
And it was right as he was leaving too.
Yeah, it was like-
oh yeah, by the way, I have to tell you something.
Jack Burton.
And he walks off like, okay.
Well, because I told myself that was a commitment to myself. I looked into the future. I'm like, when I see these guys and I have the opportunity to fuck with
it
them,
was the perfect scenario.
I'm not gonna fucking let that go, man. I can't. Like, I owe it to myself to live the dream.
I mean, it could have been it could have been sillier. Like Ray was
I-
trying to tell his wife like about shooting, and she's like, I know, I compete.
I just wanted to be. I wanted to have this conversation. So in the future, I'm looking at this the whole discourse, going, I'm gonna meet these guys. And I'm gonna be able to have a conversation. It's not gonna be like a fly through type scenario. And I'm gonna be like, dude, I love like all your videos. Like, man, Pikes Peak. Like, I just love the like everything. Like that Mustang is epic. And then I wanted him to go,
Big Trouble
dude,
in
I'm
China.
not Ken Block. Like that's in my mind. I wanted him to go. I'm not Ken Block. And be able to go, I know, I'm just fucking with you. But
Do you see a flat brim hat on me?
right? And so anyway, but I did get to live a little bit of that dream today. It was pretty epic, actually.
Micah lived that dream and had no clue what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah,
I was just all about those beats at the time.
yeah. All about them beats. All about them beats, dog.
Man,
like,
you know
I was
Phil
all about
Collins?
those beats, dude. I was like, hey, is that who I think it is?
White people, man.
I asked-
White people.
I told Pat McNamara today. I was like, I told Pat McNamara, I was like, I love VTech, man. I love all your stuff, Kyle. It's fucking awesome. And he's like,
motivation.
who the fuck? I'm kidding. I didn't say that.
Oh.
But. All right, man. We're gonna close this down. Micah, where can everybody find you, man?
You know, go to heroesandhorses.org. You can check out some of our films, The 500 Mile Project, 180 Out, 24 Hours with Micah Fink. That one's pretty raw. And yeah, I mean, follow us on social media. And if you know guys want to apply or you want to apply, fill out the application, put as much information as you can, and maybe you'll get a shot. But if you don't get selected, you can still grab that gallon of water and wake up and do the opposite of what you were doing the day before. And well, guess what? You've just cracked the code. You've changed your life.
Mike
Change
at
your
4
life.
a.m. for
Change
4
your
weeks
life.
in a row.
Yeah. It's been really cool. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. And,
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
You know, we did it on the last podcast. Brought guys in for a specific endeavor, and we were donating $25,000 to the previous one. We'll donate $25,000 for your
Awesome.
cause. So on the show, you got my verbal commitment, and we'll put it into your fund.
Sweet,
That's
man.
So
awesome.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
I'll keep
man.
playing this on loop on
Just keep-
Instagram. 25,000. 25,000. Hey, guys,
just the
run to the
verbal
post
commitment.
office. It's Facebook Live. Like,
Fuck yeah.
no check yet from Black Rifle Coffee, but just, we're waiting.
It's been 2 days since the podcast.
It's Thursday,
it.
9
And it's
hours,
not here
so
yet.
stand
It's
by.
been like 9 hours, guys. Come on. Holy shit. Come on, guys. Thanks a lot, man. It's been fucking epic seeing you, dude. It's been too long. So
Yeah, for sure. We'll do it again.
awesome, man. Bye.